Welcome to the channel, Infinite Exploit, where we learn and have fun. Let's get started and Brody, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Love you guys.
So now I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about PHP to go ahead and get you started. Now, it's a server-side scripting language. It used to build dynamic web pages. Now, it runs on a web server, not the user's browser. Now, it used at least about over 70% of websites now. Now, it used to be an acronym for personal homepage. Now, it's PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. So the way PHP works is it communicates to a database and then back to the web browser. So it's usually used with databases such as MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, and Postgres. So some some prerequisites before we start this video. I recommend getting XAMPP. It's a web server, Apache web server. It comes equipped with PHP, or you can get it from SourceForge. I recommend getting it from Apache Prince. And Visual Studio, we can write our code here with this, right? And I'm going to show you how we can download both. XAMPP is installed, you'll be greeted with a screen like this, a control panel. And from here, you can do start for your Apache web server and your MySQL database. And this is going to go ahead and serve up Apache web server on your local host. So let's go ahead and open up a new port. Let's go ahead and open up a new page, web page, I mean. So if I do localhost 2.0.1, I'll be greeted with the Apache web page right there. So when you open up your Visual Studio Code, it'll look like this. You can open up a new tab, and this can go ahead and start. So what we'll do, I'm gonna go ahead and save this. And I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna save this right here. We're going to save this in a directory where our Apache XAMPP, our server is running. So we'll go to htdocs, right? And since this is PHP, we're gonna use the PHP extension, okay? So I'm going to name this index.php. Well, it's already one here, so I can go ahead and open it. Next, I just call it index2, since we're gonna do a couple things with it. And then we can install some extensions. Let's see, we'll do PHP. This is going to help us with syntax highlighting and auto completion. Okay, so we'll install that. All right, so while that's loading, let's talk about how we'll start right now. PHP quote. We'll do less than. We'll do less than question mark PHP. And we'll close it with question mark right in there. So those anchor brackets. And if we want to display, we can do echo, and I can say this is text. All right, I'm gonna save. Control S is how we save it. And let's reload the web page. So the way we'll go to it is, since we have now HT docs folder, the only thing we have to do is just type in the name of the file, which is index2.html. Oh, I said HTML, I meant PHP. It's like, why is it not showing? Okay, so you see that. That's this. So I can add a break tag if I'm running on separate lines, but let's see. Let me show you if we don't. So echo, this is a test. This is another line. And we don't have to have semicolons, but we can end it with them, okay? It's just best practice. So Control S, that's how I'm saving it on mine. That's my shortcut. Let's refresh. All right, so as you see, they're on the same line. So if we wanted to put them on different lines, we're going to use a break tag, and we can do that with doing BR like that. Let's save it. All right, let's go back to this. Now they're on a separate line, as you can see there. So you can do localhost as well as doing 127.0.0.1, the same thing. And want to access our file here. I name my index2.php, so it'll be that. Now, when we do our code in PHP, you'll do a less than question mark PHP and a question mark greater than sign. And in between here, if you want to type out text, you'll say echo, and you can say this is text. And if I do save and refresh here, you can see it there. So if I do echo, this is another line, save it there. Okay, where's running together? How do we break it up? Well, we use a break tag, and that's BR, open and close, brackets, and that's on different tags, different lines. So if we want to do comments, we can say this is a comment. If we want to do a multi-line comment, we'll say this is how we do multi-line, and we can close it like that, okay? As you see, since that's how it came back. Now, we can also include HTML inside of our PHP, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. Right now, we're going to talk about variables. It's basically a reusable container that holds data like strings, integers, floats, and booleans. So I'm going to show you different type of data types. So how do we declare a variable in PHP? So we'll type a dollar sign and a unique name. So I'm gonna do name. I'm gonna call it username, and I'm gonna say, and I can do echo, and it'll print it to the screen. So as you see here, so I made the variable username, and I made it equal to infinite, and I went ahead and displayed it to the screen. Right. So what if I wanted to say hello? Right. I could do this. I could do hello, and I could put my variable inside open and close curly brackets. Right. And let's resave. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I didn't put my quotation on the whole thing, and it'll give you errors. It'll let you know where you're wrong. So yeah. So as you see, that's how we do that. And we can do multiple variables. I could do my car, and I can do Monte Carlo. All right. I can do email, my email at email.com. Right. And I can print these out. I can say echo. I drive and I can put in my car variable here. My car. Right. Echo. My email is email. Right. All right. So let's see. I'll remove that bookmark. I'm just trying to refresh. So I need all this on new lines, right? So I need to add those break tags like we talked about. So we'll do that with BR. Let me save that. And as you see, we can also do integers as well. So numbers. So I can do like age variable, and I can make it equal to 35 or 34. 35. I like 35. And then I can say echo he is. Right. That's what I can say. I'll save this. Yeah, like that, right? And I don't need to put that there. Put it there. All right. So we'll cover different data types. So this is a string, this is number or integer. Let's talk about booleans. So boolean is if value is true or false. So I'm gonna say it's tall. I could do true, right? And I could do false, depending on if it's true or false. About math, just arithmetic operators, okay? So let's talk about some math. I'll make it really simple here. So for example, we can have a variable, let's say x. I can have it equal to 5. I can have y equal to 3. And I can make, let's say, z null. We won't give it a value. We'll just make it null. If I wanna add x and y together, I can do z equal, right? And I can echo. Let's see here. save this. So it's 8, right? So what if I wanted to subtract? Then I can do this. Let me save it, right? What if I want to do division? Like this, right? If I want to do multiplication, that's an asterisk, right? So what if I want to raise it to the power of 2? Then I'll just do 2 asterisks, right? Save it, right? And what if I want to get the remainder? I can do a percent sign, which is considered modulus. That's what it's called. Now let's talk about incrementing. So for example, what if we have counter equal to 10, and I can do counter equal to counter plus 1, and I can echo counter. Now this can be cumbersome doing this over and over again. So I can do a shortcut. I can do plus plus, right? And it's the same thing. If I want to decrement, I can do minus minus, right? So it go from 10 to 9. So now I'm going to talk about the get and post variable types. Now I'm going to talk about the get and post variable types. It's usually collect data from the HTML form. So for example, let me show you. If I were to have a form action, so let's do an HTML document. So I'm going to do exclamation point tab, right? So inside of here, I'm going to create a form, right? They're going to type in a username and password and log in. So I'm going to do label, do a line break. I'm going to say username. I'm going to do input type, text, username, do another break. And what I'll do here, I'll make this the password, right? And instead of text, I'm gonna make this password and make this password. And we're gonna do an input type equals submit. That's what we're gonna do here. And I'm gonna make the value, I'm gonna have it say login. And I'm gonna make this a closed form. And I'm gonna do form action equals index2.php because this is right. This is what we're naming this, right? So, and I'm going to make the method going to be a get request. So it's going to get information from the user. So let me save this. Let's refresh. All right. So this is how attackers can steal information, right? They can actually craft a page that look like, say, a bank login or something like that. And when you enter your credentials, it can actually output this to a text file, right? So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to echo get. I just wanted to use a name. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a square brackets. I'm going to do and I'm going to use name. All right, and I'm going to save it. And let's do test. Let's see, do I got any errors in the code? It looks good. Oh, yeah, name. All right, now let's do text. I'm going to save this and let's do test. So it echoes the username out to the screen. But I also can do this for the password too. So it can print that to the screen. Right? Test. So both, right? And I could do line breaks with this as well. Right? So for example, this is how I would do it. So let's see here. All right, get request. request. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. So I put curly brackets. All right. Make sure I have it correct. So let me save it. Now it should be on new lines. So yeah. Let's see here. So you can see it in the URL, right? So let's change the method to post and see what happens. So I'll do test. Let me use post. All right, so test and test. Now, as you can see, the username and password isn't appended to the URL. So post is more secure than get, but they both have their own advantages. Now we're going to talk about how threat actors can use a technique like this to save the username and password to a text file. So a lot of times when they set up a phishing site, it's a replica of a site that has a login, like a bank login or something like that. So what they'll use is the file put contents method, right? And I'm going to name it credentials.txt. Now I'm in the htdocs. That's where it's going to save it or create it and add the text to it because that's where we have our server running and our init2.php file. Now, just to show you that I don't have anything there yet, I'm going to do cat. This is concatenating print information to the screen. It's going to give me an error. It does not exist, right? So if I do, that's the name of the file. You can name it whatever you like. I want the post request and I want the username, right? That's what I want. And the way we concatenate is that's adding another parameter or another variable to this as well. I can do a period and I can do two quotations like that, do another period, right? And I want the other post request for the password, right? All right. And then I want to close this. See it's red right here. That's why I like Visual Studio Code because it lets you know where errors might be. So I'm going to close it with parentheses and a semicolon, and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to test this now. I'm going to do my username. Let's do a password. Let's do something. All right. Right. So let me cat that out now. Let me go up. And as you can see, right, I have the credentials here. And if you want to make it pretty, you could do, for example, you could say username, right, something like that. And then you can do, let's say password, something like that, right? User and pass. Okay, let's see. I might, yeah, gotta always put my periods there so you can concatenate with a period. So user, pass, it should look a little prettier now. So I do have it set up, and I can still do a new line as well, right? I can do a new line or a break like how we did there if we want to. So that's just a quick demonstration. Today we're going to talk about hashing in PHP. And hashing is basically turning sensitive data like passwords into like letters, numbers, and symbols. So I'm going to give you an example. So say a database is compromised. You will see the hash instead of password. So instead of saying password, you will see a lot of stuff. So you'll see, I'll give you an example. So let's say password equals super hard password. I'm going to say hash will equal password hash. This is a method that I'm going to do. And I'm going to do password, right? I'm gonna do password underscore default. All right. So let's see what we got here. So let's echo the hash. Let's echo the hash to the screen. Okay. So I'm gonna save it. And as you can see, it just gives random. It's an algorithm that gives us a random amount of text. In this video, we're going to talk about if statements. So if something is true, we're going to do something. However, if it's false, we're going to do something else. All right. So let's say if you want to be 21 or older. So let's say age equals 21. So if age is greater than or equal to 18, we're gonna do something, right? Let's echo you are old enough, right? So if they're not, say they're 14 or 13, I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do else. Instead, we're gonna say be. So let's say that. So you are old enough, right? Now let's talk about logical operators. So we have and, right? We have or, which is these two, and we have true or false. Talk about while loops. So as long as a condition is true, it's going to continue to run. So for example, let's say our counter is set to 0, right? And we're going to say while, that's the statement we're going to use, while counter is greater than or less than 20, less than or equal to 20, we're going to increment, right? And let's echo counter and then do a period for concatenation, and let's do new line. Let's see. It's going to print the 21, right? So what if we do less, right? Let's talk about functions in PHP. So the way that we'll do it is we'll specify a function with the function keyword. So I do function, and I'm going to say my greet. Usually want to name it after something you're doing. So I'm going to be greeting. And in here, it's going to say echo hello, hello there. Echo greetings. Just those simple lines of code. Now let's refresh. So why isn't it coming up? Why isn't it pulling up anything? So when you create a function, you need to call it. And the way that you call it is by using the name of your function, right? And open and close parentheses. So as you see, it prints it now. Then we called it. And we can call it as much as we want. So for example, let's say it is a section of reusable code that we can use over and over again. So it keeps printing. So what do we want to give it a parameter? Let's see, I'm gonna call it my name, right? And I'm going to pass it in here, right? I'm going to say my name. And let's put this stuff on a new line with the break. All right. All right. So let's say John, Tim, Bob, and Sarah. Let's see what we got. Hello, John. Greetings, John. Hello, Tim. Greetings, Tim. So that's how a function will work, right?